Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to round one of the QRT Season 2 GT3 Endurance Championship at the circuit Paul Ricard. I am here in the commentary box with my good friend Tice Payne, who is also joining me on commentary this evening. Good evening, Tice.
Yeah, good evening. It's going to be a fun one. Round one, always a good starter. Yeah, let's see how qualifying unfolds.
See how qualifying unfolds indeed. Now, we've got quite a few cars on track this evening, actually. We've got 44 currently checked in to the session. We've got some cars on track as it stands on your screens there now. I believe it is the silvers that we've currently got on track, based on the cars that I'm looking at. We're on board with Chris Bell, and you are correct, it is the pro driver. So Chris Bell is making his way perfectly up there into the dizzying heights of the pro split. So we're going to ride on board with him as it stands at this moment in time. We've got a little bit left of qualifying. We've got about 26 minutes left of qualifying, I think. So plenty of time to sort of see what unravels. But while we're on board with Chris, also I should say as well, if you're watching in the chat and some sound volumes, you can't hear me, you can't hear Tice, you can't hear the game, do let us know. We will rectify them as we're live. But for those that are joining us for the first time, we are QRT Esports Community. Race director tonight is Harry Bellas, who is around for a race, which is a rarity. Myself, Alex and Tice are in the com box throughout the evening. This is round one, 27th of February, Paul Ricard. Next week, we're off to Valencia. The week after that, we're off to that corkscrew wonder, Laguna Seca. Spa-Francorchamps afterwards on the 20th of March. The Red Bull Ring, otherwise known as Turn Right Ring, on the 27th of March. And we conclude this series in the forests of Italy at the renowned Monza track on the 3rd of April. The structure for this series is the same throughout. We have got 35 minutes of practice, followed by a 5-minute briefing from the race director Harry when he's available. We've got a 30-minute qualifying session split into two sections so we can see both classes through from start to finish. And then we have a 60-minute race with a mandatory pit stop, which requires drivers to change both their tyres and add fuel to the cars. And as already previously mentioned, we are at Paul Ricard this evening. 15 turns, 5.842 kilometres, 9 to the right and 6 to the left. Formula 1 was here once upon a time before the French decided to remove it from the calendar, so GT3 racing is probably its main attraction we have in the modern day society. And as I say, we ride on board now with Chris Bell for his proper time lap going down the straight. Tice, anything I've missed in that introduction I've just given the ladies and gentlemen watching?
A couple of fast laps at the moment. We've got Grand's P1. He's just popped a 53.8 down on the table. As I say, that Consig's just beaten it, so I'm sure it's going to change quite a lot over the next few minutes. But yeah, good bunch of drivers this evening, some familiar faces, and thankfully some new faces as well. A couple of drivers moving up from silver into pro, Chris Bell being one of them. There's a few other drivers as well that have been promoted now into pro, so this will be their first outing with the Fast Boys. So it's going to be an interesting race. Paul Ricard, a lot of runoff area, so you can afford to make mistakes, I guess. If you can go for that move and you've got a little bit of runoff. But it definitely, with that straight down there, it really seems to prioritise high speed. So if you've got a good top end, you're going to be pretty difficult to get past, I think.
Thank you very much. Leon saying you're a little bit low in the sound there, Tice, so if you just talk us through the next couple of corners, let's see if our resident Leon can tell us if your sound quality has improved at all.
Yeah, of course. So looks like they're coming into the final corner now. So about to. Oh no, sorry, my apologies. They're getting onto the Mistral Straight, I believe it's called. So gearing up here, and now it's basically straighten the car up, line of least resistance, and just foot flat to the floor for the next 20 seconds or so. Could be seeing 275, 280 kilometers an hour, step up dependent, as you get to the end of the straight, and then it's a quick brake, downshift, and fling it right and try and keep it within track limits and maximise your apex speed.
Confirm, Leon has said that you're much better now, Ty. So we'll leave it there with that one. A little sound test
That's
there.
very good.
Well, you get a
As,
flag
Chris...
from Damien Kozek as returns back to the garage. He's currently the fastest driver on track with a 53.2, which I have to be honest is the fastest lap time we have seen, including in this weekend so far, including the practice session. So these drivers obviously pulling some time out the bag there as we ride on board with Mr. Bastelli, who pulls over and goes back to the garage as we ride on board with him. Never mind. So what we'll do is we'll ride on board with some other drivers that we've got. Next across the line is going to be Mr. 66, Chris Bell. Comes round the final corner. Current time on the board is a 55.8. A little bit off the pace. Foot flat to the floor now. Pulls over to the right hand side of the track. Crosses the line. And he does not improve at all and does a 55.9. So not improving there.
Arnold has just put a 53.2 on the table as well to make sure Konzig doesn't have it all his own way. Our resident Frenchman showing some extra pace today on his home circuit. So that could well become a quite spicy battle. For those of you that know Konzig, seen him race before, he's elected to take the GTR for this series. A little bit of a bet slash dare going on within QRT. So Granez and Konzig were in the championship battle to the very end in the last season that we did, and both elected to take the same car for this season. A little bit of a bet slash dare, like I said, and this is from Harry, the race director, that put them up to it. So it's definitely going to be quite interesting seeing how this pans out. I don't think either of them are particularly enjoying the GTR, so I'm very interested to see who can master it and who can.
I tell you who won't be able to master it, Taj.
Go on.
Harry Bellers.
Well, yes. I mean, if unfortunately I had the privilege of watching him work with a controller yesterday, and it's safe to say that he probably shouldn't be allowed on a race circuit.
Well, he shouldn't be allowed anywhere near a race circuit. I would say it's the safest place for him to be is at home on television or watching live in the Twitch chat. Now, what I'm going to do, for those who don't know my style of commentary, I've given you the introduction. I'm telling you now that we're at just over a 5 kilometre long track in Le Castellet of France. And this track was actually built in 1970 with funding from Paul Ricard, who was a businessman. Now, this was the first circuit of its kind to embrace a safety culture. Now, a safety culture, now you'd think motorsport, quite dangerous, would always have a safety culture, but realistically we know from the old days of Formula 1, the pinnacle of motorsport, that safety hasn't always been a consideration. So the beauty of this track, you'll see those blue and red stripes. If I jump on board with a helicopter, actually, you might be able to see them a little bit better. And they basically are abrasive asphalt. And what that means is the blue slows you down a little bit, and the red rips the insides of your car out. And the idea of that is people didn't actually make it to the barrier when they crash, which we've seen in Formula 1 quite a few times. In fact, I think Leclerc proved quite well, actually, when he bottled the championship a few years ago, and he went nose into the barrier because he went off in an area where this asphalt wasn't. So it is a great device, which actually, considering how high-tech it is, Tice, I'm surprised we've not seen it at any other race circuit.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good idea in concept. Obviously, it lends itself to tracks that have got a lot of real estate. So perhaps with this being built with that in mind, they were able to. You say real estate.
There's 167 possible variations of this track. 167.
Yeah, there are.
167. Yeah. That is a colossal amount of variations.
It certainly is. Yeah, I mean, it's almost too many, I suspect. We do typically only ever see it in the one layout, though. I think it does change for MotoGP ever so slightly. Yeah, I mean, well, Formula One as well. They've got the chicane down the straight as well, for reasons that I still don't fully understand.
Well, Formula One, the former pinnacle of motorsport, WEC now has that title, in my humble opinion. But
we've got a little over 2 minutes left of qualifying. Not seeing anybody improving, although Grant is a 10th up. but he is about 4/10 off the pace, so he's got quite a bit to find yet, I think, before he's going to trouble the front row. We have, at the moment, Konzig, Delassus, Bossatelli, all fairly close together, and then it starts becoming a bit of a chasm to the remaining pro drivers. The top 8 are in the 53s. So
just like to interrupt you there quickly, Tice. We've got Bastelli, who we're on board with now. Thomas Bastelli is the only driver that's purple on the track as it stands at the minute, as he's nearing the end of his lap here now. Or the straight, I should say. So he's through the technical part. He's got one more technical part to go. He's 2/10 up as it stands at the minute, and that 2/10 would put him comfortably P1 as it stands at this moment in time. So we're going to stay on board with him as he approaches Sector 3, as he goes down towards there now. He's also one of the fastest in the speed trap ties, which is unusual in the Aston Martin.
It's got good traction, so that obviously lends itself to getting out of corners well. So if you can do that, then yeah, it should still be a pretty quick car. Delassus has also been, I'm just watching on my other screen, troubling the purple time as well. He is just about purple at the moment. Konzig is also on a starter of a faster lap. So there are definitely 3 cars at the moment looking like they're going to try and improve their time, but it's whether they can carry that time to the end of the track.
Well, Konzig
has lost a bit.
Sorry, Konzig is improving. However, but Bastelli here, who is still 2/10 up, which would put him P1 at the moment, he has just lost a tenth through that final corner. We're now going down towards the straight. Does he improve on his lap time? Yes, he does, but he puts it only P2. He is still tantalisingly close to P1. He's 1,000th of a second off that P1 position.
Yeah, that is a tiny margin. That is an absolutely tiny margin, but that's what you want to see. That you know we want to see 4 or 5 drivers within a tenth of each other, as Delassus is going to cross the line and potentially take P1.
I don't think he's got enough. I don't think he's got enough.
He
has!
He
has! He goes P1 by
just
200ths of a second and immediately pulls off the racing. I think, I've had enough, let's get back to the pits. So what we're now doing...
definitely got time in pocket though. He's flirting with that purple. He's 2/10 up now. Is Konzig going to just absolutely ruin the party and slap a 52 on the table?
Well, the only person who could ruin his party right now is himself and the race director for releasing these silvers a little bit too early. So they're the only 2 people that can ruin this race now. So let's see what they do. You can see my screen is just flashed up with pit lane, pit lane, pit lane. Most cars are back in the track. As Konzig now comes towards the line, you can see him there.
He's had a poor exit.
He's boxing. He's boxing. He's done.
Yeah, didn't fancy it.
He's done. And I can't see Tice. I can only see Luke Sherlock now improving. He's the only one who's green on my screen. It wouldn't be enough to put him P1 by any stretch of imagination, but it would be enough to jump him up to P16 as he comes around these final few corners now. So we will see how long we've got left of the session. We should have the silvers on track, hopefully.
Van der Hoek is on an outlap. He's on his first flying lap after an outlap, so we don't have a delta for him at the moment, but he is moving pretty quickly. So there's a possibility he might improve, but he is down in 6th at the moment. So he's going to need to find a good chunk of time to get anywhere near that front row.
He absolutely is. Most of those pros are now in the pits, apart from the P6 car of Van der Hoek, as Tice nicely pointed out there. So Danny McCutcheon then, who should be coming out of the pit lane, if I'm not mistaken. He's currently sat in the pit lane, along with some other drivers. Christian Booth there, he's on his outlap as well. All these drivers are currently on their outlap. The first driver, I think, to start their outlap will be this gentleman we're on board now, Matrusi.
Yeah, it's a pretty snazzy livery on the car there, so hopefully he can drive as fast as he can design.
Jules Flint then, first car of the silvers to set his lap time. He's about to start his first time lap. He's going to tuck in and get a little bit of a toe as he goes down towards turn 1. A very complicated part of the track. There's a lot of time to be lost in sector 1 here, Tice.
There definitely is. You know, turn 1 kind of dips in ever so slightly, and then turn 2 is almost, to take a phrase out of rallying, over crest.
Huge thank there to the sub as well in the chat. I've just seen that ping up there perfectly. 4 of 30. Remember, you subscribe, you get rid of the adverts, and you get to listen to mine and Tice's voice every Thursday with fun facts. What more could you want? Thank you very much for that subscription. Sorry, Tyce, carry on.
Yeah, so turn one kind of dips away a little bit. You want to try and get as much of the curb as you can on the inside, and then turn two is sort of back up and almost over crest. You have to be careful with how much curb you take, as it can unsettle the car. And then it's a case of just trying to thread the needle really through some fast corners before you then have quite a technical little complex where you're down to first gear, and that before you then come back round onto the Mistral straight. So definitely making sure that you've got a good front end and good traction through there is going to be key. You need to make sure that you're pushing the track limits really. You've got to be very comfortable getting out towards that white line, but if you just a smidge too far, you'll get caught out and hit a bit of curb that's raised and get batted into the barrier. So yeah, very technical, that first sector. The rest of it's relatively straightforward.
Luke Sherlock in the chat there. We're on board with you for your final up there, Luke. Nice little improvement towards the end. Nice to ride on board with you for a little bit. You, sir, are in front of everybody because you are faster than them. That is how qualifying works. You've set a faster lap time, so you're therefore in front of them. That is how that works, quite simply. So, who have we got to ride on board with now? First across the line, Tice, I think, is going to be Thierry, who we're on board with now as he comes around the final corner. He's going to cross the line. He's 1.2 seconds up on his outlap. Not sure how that's worked with releasing them from the pros. Crosses the line, sticks it P23.
Yeah, just on my other screen, just watching Norris and Berger seemingly trading places, almost battling through Sector 1. So we'll have to double check and let the race director know on that one, because I'm pretty sure we have a no overtaking rule during qualifying, which is why we separate out Pro from Silver, so that we don't have these sort of on-track qualifying battles. So definitely have to have a look at that. But Norris is flying down the back straight at the moment, trying to pick up some speed. But what he's probably done is given a nice little slipstream to Berger behind him, which may not necessarily pay dividend.
The 35 car there, Tice. We're on board with the Mustang. The Mustang doesn't necessarily need a helping hand down the straight, for those of you who don't know.
No.
As you can see there from inside his noggin camera, as I like to call it, he's now in Sector 3. And you'll see he'll begin a little bit of a tow from that BMW, but the Mustang really struggles in the corners more than anywhere else. Although I'm reliably informed, not driven it myself, Tice, it isn't too bad in the wet either.
I am told it is a pretty handy car in the wet. I too haven't really driven it apart from
Oh, that looks like an invalidation there.
It definitely does. I mean, I drove it for a quick lap or two after it was released, but I haven't driven it in anger, so to say. So I don't know. But yeah, of all of the cars that you want to give a slipstream to, I don't think it's the Mustang that I'm picking.
Not really going to benefit a great deal. Currently P44 is Mr. Berger. He crosses the line in a couple of seconds' time. And where's he going to slap it? He slaps it exactly where it was before he started the lap, P44. But anyway, got a yellow flag on the track there. That is at the pit exit. Come along nicely as he comes down there nicely. Not to be confused with the F1. Hussein there, he's also in the Mustang. Mustang are quite a popular car here, but do you know who else struggles to drive the Mustang, Tice?
Probably our race director.
Harry, yes he is, he does. He's got a nice new wheel that he doesn't use, and the Mustang is very much declined by him. We get a flag by Rafe there, who's still coming out of the pit lane, as it looks.
Booth, Christian Booth from P36, he's 1.5 seconds up, so this should jump him a good way up the order here.
It crosses the line, 20s. Goes from P36...
21st.
21st, that's a great result, that is. My timing screen couldn't even keep up with that jump.
No, it's... we've got Hussein in 17th, he's a little bit up. Just looking through, there's a few people that are going to start improving, so it's definitely not all over yet. We've got 7 and a bit minutes left of qualifying. Still a fair few cars looking to start their flying lap, but yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. Both groups look like they are separated very well, so it could be tight battles all the way throughout, which will be fantastic to commentate on with you, Roffy.
Yes, I would also be privileged to commentate with myself, so I can understand that privilege that you've got there, Tice. But no, I'm looking forward to it. And poor Ricard, is one of those tracks that most drivers, generally speaking, don't like it. It's a very technical track, it's a very bitty track, and it's very easy to sort of trip over yourself on, which, unless you race it, you probably don't really know what I mean by that, but you can trip over your own car, if you like, around this track because of all the lefts and rights, and because everything's flat with flat curves, it's very hard to see apexes and that sort of thing. But this track has never, ever, in my time of sim racing and broadcasting, failed to deliver a fantastic race. It really does offer some great racing, some great battles, and the drivers after it every single time are, do you know, actually, it's not that bad of a track. It's been a long while since I've raced here, Tice. I don't know when the last time you were as well, but I do remember not that long ago being here, and I remember coming away thinking, do you know what, I'm actually glad I did that race.
Yeah, I've raced it a few times. It's certainly not one of my favourite tracks. I personally just find it a bit boring, but it is a good track, and you're quite right. Every race that we put on here has delivered. There's been good racing up and down the field. I think the last time we were here was for our endurance season. I'll have to double check if we're there again for this season through 2025. I'd imagine we are, because it is a good endurance track if you can be consistent throughout. But yeah, I'm just watching Mike at the moment, who is on an outlap. So he's going to try and get a few flyers in. He was very quick in practice, troubling the top 10. Now, I'm sure that there was a bit of sandbagging going on, but I am expecting Mike to pick it up a little bit and maybe try and get into the high teens.
What we'll do is we'll do a full lap with him, Tice, when he crosses the line. We'll go on with his we'll go with his helmet cam when he crosses the line. This is obviously his outlap, or it's an invalid, I should say. As it stands, we don't know whether it was an outlap or an invalid lap. We're not sure by the looks of my.
This is definitely an outlap.
Yeah, so by the looks of my Delta it is. But I was also just mentioning there. Do you know who won't be troubling the top 10 tonight, Tice?
That would be Harry, I suspect.
It will be Harry, our race director. He won't be troubling the top 10 in any way, shape or form. So, what we'll do is we're going to jump on board with the helmet cam of Mike Wilson then, who is one of the drivers in silver troubling the top 10 this evening. He's going to start his flying lap now, and we will ride on board, and we are going to stay silent for the duration of his lap, and we're going to let you enjoy it. Best of luck, Mike.
Yeah, what a lap. I mean, that's solid. He's managed to get to P4, I think, in class. He's 21st now overall. That was a solid lap. Looked nice and clean and tidy. Probably left quite a bit of time on the table, truth be told, but he didn't have any big moments, didn't have any like issues. He was committed into the turn at the end of the straight. It was a good lap. Let's see if he can build on it from here.
Quite. And we'll take the pressure off him now, though, Todd, shall we? We're not right on board with him the whole time.
No, let's have a look at someone else. So P1 at the moment in the silver class is Tyler Norris of, I'm guessing, DSR Racing in the BMW, number 43, and he is barely ahead of Hussein, who is in the Mustang. They are separated by half a tenth, give or take. So again, you know, credit to Harry here for getting these splits spot on. You know, P1 and P2 in the silver class separated by such a small margin is definitely going to make that silver class an entertaining battle throughout, I hope.
My only observation of the race director this evening is I think if you have the pros going last, you'd have that tighter, more suspensive qualifying field. Because right now we know the silver split aren't going to challenge the top 10 because by nature of this class that they're in. So by having them from a personal perspective, Tice, I would prefer to see the pros go last because then you've got that suspense at the top there. Right now we're watching the silvers and we know what the grid's going to be at the front there, and we've got the action at the back, and we have, but you don't have that last minute feel of is he going to get across the line and put it on the front row.
There's also, I feel, to sort of add for the pro drivers, there's that extra little bit of pressure. At the moment, you know, if you're a pro driver, you've done qualifying, the job's over, you know where you're going to be pretty much. Whereas I think if we went silver first and then into pro, if your qualifying session doesn't go as well as you hoped it would, you can see immediately how it is, and it just adds that extra little bit of pressure for the drivers where they can see they haven't set a lap time yet and they're currently 36th. You know, and it would give us, you know, a bit more of a crescendo as we get to the end of qualifying. And that's not to take anything at all away from the silver drivers. You know, they're fantastic drivers, and we absolutely love having them here. But we'd like to give both groups that crescendo of being at the front of the grid at that moment in time. So yeah, possibly something for the race director to consider next time out.
Again, and we're not here. I've got Harry instructing me to check my direct messages. Oh, he's going to alternate the format each week. That is in the rules and regulations of this series, Tice. Now, I like that.
Interesting.
That's
interesting.
Almost quite creative there by the race director. Which, you know, and one thing that we can say for certain about the race director tonight is he won't be winning the race.
No, I mean, he's definitely not going to win anything.
No, even if he was on track.
Apart from maybe the title of most mentioned person in the stream.
Yes.
There's a possibility that he'll get that accolade.
Subscribe now if you would like a counter in the bottom corner of how many times we mentioned the race director this evening.
The good thing about having it alternating, obviously round one we typically start with like a warm, dry race, but we do tend to have a couple of wet or changeable condition races throughout the season, and so you could end up with a qualifying session that starts dry for the silvers and then gets wet for the pros, which will really spice things up.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I totally agree, and obviously we're now going to head into the race session. Now, the beauty of the race session this evening, ladies and gentlemen that are currently watching on the screens, is we get to trial our brand new grid walk feature. However, I do believe ACC has done the thing where I can't press drive before the start of the session. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to wait a few minutes. Because what we do have, though, is we do have the QRT grid walk option, which unfortunately, again, I can't show you right now because ACC has done its thing where it blocks us out, rather annoyingly. But what we can do is we can cycle through the cars as we go down the grid. So, Tice, what are we thinking? We've got an Audi on pole there. What are we thinking here for the results of this race?
Yeah, I mean, Audi on pole, it's a good car. Can be a bit of a handful. So it's going to be an interesting one to see if he can maintain that P1. What has he got next to him is the question. He's got Konzig in the GTR. that thing is going to be, that's going to be no slouch. So yeah, Delasu's got a lot to do there, and obviously we've got Bossatelli just behind them. He's going to be there to pick up the pieces of any scraps that are left there. Grands, bit of a slow one for him. I would have expected him to be on the front row. So again, another driver to watch. He's usually a good one in the race as well. Stoberg and Van der Hoek on the third row. Both again competent drivers. You know, they put in good performances last season. Certainly know what not to discount them. Round one, we don't have any success penalties. As the season progresses, you do start getting success penalties, so that could be something to watch. Then we've got Gibson and Brogan on the next row, so that's going to be Declan Brogan's good driver again. He's a fast driver. He'll be looking to make up places. Gibson as well. He's a good driver as well. And then I think it's a new one, Fabio Gallamini. He is a new name to myself. He's rocking the Ferrari at the moment as the formation lap gets underway, and he's partnered with Callum Scotland in the Mercedes. That Mercedes is no slouch in a straight line, and the Ferrari is a little bit lacking top end, so that could be an easy gain there. We've then got...
Sorry, carry on, Toss. I shall not interrupt you anymore.
We've then got Skapas, P11 in the Bentley, Papai in the Aston from T1SR. Lovely little livery on that car. We've then got Tyler Norris, P1 in the silver class in the BMW, with his P2 counterpart Hussein in the Mustang behind. They are almost a little bit out of position here, and that could prove interesting. They're sort of right in the mix with some of the pro drivers. Obviously they are free to race. They're perfectly within their rights to race for overall position. They don't have to get out of the way, but you would expect perhaps the pro drivers behind them are a little bit quicker over a race run, and so how quickly can they get past Hussein, how quickly can they get past Norris could be critical to their race. Reitveld and our very own Mike Wilson, 15th and 16th respectively. Then got Borowick and Amy, they're 17th and 18th. Another T1 SR car in 18th, repping the Porsche with a rather interesting livery on it. That's going to be one to watch. I remember seeing her at a Kyle Army race we hosted. She put on a very good show. We've then got Christo in the Lamborghini, Isgro in the Aston. Got Victor in the BMW, quite an interesting livery on that car. Dudzik again in the Aston, got a few Astons back here, there'll be ones to watch. And I think it's a lone Honda in 23rd with a very interesting emoji livery on it. Jules Flint and Danny McCutcheon. T1SR Lexus making an appearance today. We've got Booth in the Aston. Luke Sherlock in a sort of grey neon McLaren. That's going to be one to watch. I certainly think Luke could be a little bit out of position here. I'd expect him to be going forwards from there. We've got Scuoto in the Ferrari, Martucci in the Ferrari as well, both of them from DMF. We'll see if they work together or take each other out. Got Wraith in the Ferrari as well, the Grim Reaper on the side. Hopefully that's not a showing for what's about to come. Our resident lawnmower, Chris Bell, back in 31st.
Resident lawnmower is a little harsh because Harry isn't on the track, but I'll give you that. Quick question for you, Tice, from the chat as well, from Volfarage there. Do you think the game needs more cars? Now, my opinion of that
more manufacturers?
Yes. To be honest with you, my opinion of that is every car that happens in real life is currently in the game, apart from the Aston Martin Evo, I believe. So, and the 720.
And possibly the Corvette.
Yes, I don't think that's raced too much though anymore, is it? I may be totally wrong when they're off the mark, but that is just my opinion is they have done their best to replicate their games, and they certainly bring cars out faster than iRacing. iRacing's only just got the original McLaren, let alone the 720 Evo. So there's a big difference there. But anyway, we are about to go racing. The race director will be sat there nervous. We're going to have a bolt down to turn 1. as it stands very shortly. And we will see who crosses the line first in 60 minutes time. Green lights, and we are racing at Paul Ricard for round 1 of the QRT Endurance GT3 in Championship Season 2. The Audi gets away well there, but Konzig's making a move for that. Let's jump on board with the helicopter and see what that looks like into turn 1. Very clear. Oh, snap of oversteer from the Audi there. Managing to push Konzig out, and he's lost it. He's lost it, and I think he's going to open up a two gap loss there, Tyson. He goes down towards turn 1.
Yeah, he's gone full Lando Norris and decided to give away pole position instantly. Hopefully he can come back. He's clearly a very fast driver, but yeah, the McLaren opening lap race strategy there, probably not what I would have gone for. Let's see if he can gather it up. I did say during the grid walk, bit of a handful, that car.
Bit of a handful, that car, and there's also going to be a bit of a handful for the stewards investigating that lap 1 there. Quite a few cars caught out in that incident. The big one for me that I noticed there, falling backwards pretty quick, was Rave there, who is in the Aston Martin, but he's back underway now, driving down that straight as fast as he can. Back on board with Konzig then, who finds himself under pressure straight away from the wonderful car there of Mr. David Grinds, whatever we want to call him. Please feel free to correct me in chat. Of course, so it's Nissan versus Nissan as it stands at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of anticipated that this might happen. Konzig and Grands there, obviously first and second in the championship last season. No reason to think they wouldn't be first and second this time round. So, yeah, we've got, what, 59 minutes to find out who's the best in the GTR at
58 to be precise there, Tice, actually, please. Only accuracy here at QRT. So 24 of you in the chat watching it now. Let us know what you think, who you want to ride on board with. Lap 1 is complete. It is Nissan versus Nissan, followed by the Audi, who unfortunately just got a little bit loose under the key traction points of lap 1. Side-by-side battle then. Just going to jump on board very quickly with Dudzik there, because these two are going at it. 3 into 1, Tice. What's going to happen here?
That's got problems written all over it. I hope that inside car just managed to do enough, did the right thing, backed out, had a look, fair enough, but did the right thing in the end and backed out. But yeah, action all the way down the field as we see cars side by side.
Speaking of action, let's look at the Nissan versus Nissan as we go down the straight. This is the key fight that people are all going to want to see. On board with the rear ring then of Konzig, opening up the straight there, riding on board, rear ring, and if it was F1 I'd be saying the DRS wide open, but it isn't as the Nissan chased him down. Looks like Konzig's got the slightly better traction on the exit there. But I tell you what, Grain's there, not too far behind, not giving up.
He is closing in, definitely. You can see how powerful the slipstream is down that long straight there. But it's not going to be enough to put him in an overtaking position. But if he can have a clean corner there, he doesn't really trouble the apex of, he might have been able to make a move here. I'd say Grant's is probably just going to try and bide his time.
I'll tell you what, I've just seen in the background there as well, De La Souce, unfortunately going a little bit wide there, allowing the Aston Martin and Pastelli to catch right up to him. And this race is going from bad to worse for Arnold at the minute.
Yeah, I mean, you start on pole position and we're 2 laps into the race and all of a sudden he's battling for 4th position. He must be sat there thinking, where did it all go wrong? And the answer to that is turn 1, unfortunately. We've got Tyler Norris. He's just he's battling with Isgro, it looks like, over 11th and 12th. There's a little bit of contact there. That's all fair enough. Brogan's made up some positions. Luke Sherlock appears to be up a position, I think, now. So yeah, definitely some movers straight away. Konzig with a 53.5 to open his fastest lap account. Let's see if that stays for much longer. But yeah, he's going to want to try and check out, I think, here, Ruffy.
He's going to want to check out, but I tell you what, he needs to tame this Audi pretty quick, because if he doesn't, it's going to have the better of him. And I think he may already be finding that out as we go down towards turn 1 again. Helicopter, let's see what that can bring us in a moment, because I tell you what, the Audi seems to be holding its own in the corners, but the traction just does not exist. Konzig checking out a little bit at the front there, 2 tenths up as it stands at the minute on Grange, not too far behind him. Another incident flashing up there. We've got Declan Brogan dropping down the board as he's parked it, Can't park there, sir. On the apex. Let's just have a quick look at what happened with him. We'll go back for a 30-second replay there of what happens here, Tice. What are we thinking here? Overcooks it, or we've got a bit of a dive bomb from the Porsche behind?
I think it could be a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B, as he's very fast into that corner, bunches back up again, and then, yeah, just a questionable move there. It was clearly never on, and just, yeah, silly move. Going to attract a penalty, I would have thought, from the stewards. Well done for keeping it just parked in the centre there and not doing anything silly. It is so painful having to keep your foot on the brakes as you watch the entire field.
De La Souce has lost that position to the Aston Martin there, and he's going to have Van der Hoek on his back very soon indeed. Soberg making his way through the field. Gibson not too far behind there, playing tit for tat with the AMG behind him as well. Callum Scotland there, who is all over the back of Mark Gibson on the exit. The grunt of that Mercedes as they go down the straight now. Is he going to gain? Is he not? Fourth gear, going to knock it up into fifth, and he'll think about knocking the front end out to send it. But it looks to me like that Mustang has just got the edge and will protect him for another Sector 1. One of the closest gaps.
A couple of winners here. A couple of big winners.
One of the closest battles we've currently got on track as well is Ben Sullivan, who is about to lose the position to the GTR there, and he just lets that one happen. Probably a sensible move for him as it stands. Amy Levy there as well in the Porsche. Going to be taking her way now through onto the back of the Aston Martin, all over the back of the Aston Martin of Isgro there. That's a battle that we need to watch, but as it stands at the moment, Tice, Luke Sherlock as well is about to bring us some additional action with Christophe Pape.
Definitely. Just having a quick look through the board, big winner at the moment is Danny McCutcheon. Started P24, currently 12th. He's made up 12 positions in the opening 2 laps. That's a phenomenal start. Hussein, the silver driver, he's jumped forward 5 positions from the start. That's a phenomenal return. Dudzig started P22. He's up 9 places to 13th. So yeah, a lot of winners here. Ben Sullivan, another great start. He started 37th. He's up to 22nd. And as with all things, if there are big winners, there must be some big losers. We've got Christian Booth. He's lost 10 positions. Declan Brogan, 31 positions. And Skapas, 30 positions.
You know what they say about big winners, Tice? Big Dennis. Oh, Soberg sends it into the final corner. Pushes the Porsche out. And I tell you what, this is going to be a drag race now. Down towards turn 1. The Porsche is going to have the better line here.
I think the Porsche is going to have that. Yeah, he's got the inside line. So long as he can stay there. Yeah, the GTR's just not got enough legs, I don't think, to break away.
That was not a case of licking the stamp and sending it. That was a case of, do you want first or second class, sir?
Definitely, yeah, that was pretty convincing, wasn't it?
Arnaud De La Souce once again finding himself in a situation he'd rather not be in, stuck behind an Aston Martin. Look on board with the front splitter of this Audi. You can see there, Aston Martin, Aston Martin, Aston Martin. He ain't getting past that one anytime soon. Closest battle
is hotted up.
Just about to say, let's jump on board with that one, Tice, because that's about to be even better. Because we've got Van der Hoek on the
teammates, so they really took each other out.
Together, it's just incredible. Nissan, Porsche, 4 of them going down towards turn 1. Tyler Norris there also finding himself in a bit of bother. He's got 3 cars here. They won't all go into one. We're going to ride on board with him as it stands now. Where is his bumper? There we are. And the TSR car there is
no joke.
This is absolutely no joke. He's just about to send that on board with the external camera there. And a little bit of rubbing. We welcome that at QRT. Scotland as well. Currently under the white flag situation. We'll jump on board in a minute. And you can see the 43 car there came off worse. That could have been quite bad for him. Callum Scotland then, the Scottish driver, on board with him now, currently in P8, hunting down the 2 teammates in front of him, Gibson and Van der Hoek. Let's ride on board with what this looks like into turn 1.
Yeah, this is a phenomenal battle at the moment. You've got the 2 teammates in the middle. Interestingly, down the straight, the Mustang actually had to pull into the slipstream of the Porsche. Such was the Porsche's exit. I don't ever think I've ever seen that. The Mustang is not lacking in straight line speed, but clearly just didn't get a good exit onto the straight. and actually had to tuck in for a slipstream, if you can believe it.
Well, I can't. Anything goes here. And do you know what? I was saying in qualifying, this is the track that a lot of drivers hate, but this is the track they always finish and go, do you know what? I'm glad I participated in that race. Danny McCutcheon then finding himself under pressure again after clearing the BMW. And you can see there the Porsche is not too far behind Tyler Norris as well then, who has done well. A little bit of a twitch there. Oh, we've just seen a position change. But Tice, Oliver De Zook there making his way up past the Porsche. And now he is on Tyler Norris's backside for a little bit of company. Van der Hoek, Mark Gibson, Callum Scotland. This battle continues for one another lap. The Mercedes there all over the back of them, but the problem that he's going to have in that Mercedes is he will not get the downforce he needs through the corners. So he has got to make this work in the straight, and that is the only place he's going to get this to work, Tyson.
This looks a little bit more representative. The Mustang has suddenly decided it's got an engine and is about to cruise past the Porsche, I think, here. Is his teammate going to lift and let him through? No! They elect to go side by side through this corner. Bold strategy as they touch going into turn 9. That was, yeah, I mean,
they need to work together here. They've got to work together, otherwise Callum Scotland is going to be going, thank you very much, I'll have both of those positions.
We've got a yellow flag incident for Van der Hoek and Gibson. I don't know what's happened there. Perhaps we can get a replay of it.
We're on board with Van der Hoek and Gibson. That is a.
Oh, is it the yellow flag for earlier then? Wow, okay.
That is the no. The only current yellow flag we've got on track is Darren Putman, but he is now underway once again. Christian Booth there working his way up as well, along with Darren McAllister towards the back there. Closest battle on track as it stands at the minute is this one with Luke Sherlock, who is pressuring the BMW once again. The car number 5 there, driven by Victor Francisco de Mea as well, and he will be coming down towards turn 1 now. Will Luke line him up here? The BMW, otherwise known as the Dyson, is under pressure from the McLaren. Down towards turn 1, Luke just needs to sort of keep sucking and keep sucking and keep sucking, and he might just make it by here, but he's not going to. He's going to tuck back in.
Oh my life, he just dropped it.
Oh, that's not good from him.
Oh my life, that was, yeah, that was it. What happened there is he just dropped it under braking, still made contact. He did just enough to get out of it. That could have been a horror crash.
Could have been a whole lot worse, that could have been. So then Christophe Papi finds himself in this wonderful group of cars as it stands at the moment. Nice bunch there. But I tell you what, one of the closest battles on track at the minute is Berger versus McAllister. And Berger here in the car 35 against the 451 there. No number on his door, not compliant with SRO regulations. I don't think our race director would be too bothered by that one. These cars go side by side now through turn 1. Oh, and they're going to be side by side again as they go down towards the straight, Tice.
Yeah, that's a gaggle of, what, 6 cars there that are all jockeying for position. Interestingly, on my other screen, De La Souza has finally decided to put some talent on and is closing up onto the back of Bossatelli. Gap's about 0.3 at the moment, so he's not giving up on that podium. But yeah, back to the action that you see on your screen. We've got what looks like a Ferrari and a McLaren about to go side by side into that final corner. That could get interesting very quickly, and it would definitely compromise his exit. Yeah, I mean, any one of these cars could end up at the front of this queue and start dragging the rest of them along.
Any car, but one car in particular, and that car would be driven by who, Tice?
That would be Harry, I suspect.
It would be Harry, the race director, yes it would be. Anyway, staying on board with this battle then. Ooh, a little bit of brake chickening out there from the Ferrari, who's going to invite himself onto the asphalt and let one position go, if not 2. He got very lucky there. Battle then for P3, De La Souza. Not... who hired you two, Harry says. Well, I'll tell you what, the one person who didn't hire us on track tonight was who, Tice?
It's Harry.
It's Harry, it is Harry, correct. Anyway, so we go down towards the straight. Now, these two have just sort of split up a little bit. Van der Hoek there, he is currently under yellow flags. Let's see what happened to him.
He's exited stage left, it looks
he has.
like.
Was it teammate on teammate? Because I'm hoping it's not.
Teammate.
It's looking likely that's what it's going to be. We're currently on board with the... It looks like I think he's just disconnected from the server, actually, and I think that's why... Oh no, we're back on board. I don't know what happened there with the replay. Side by side. Have we got a little love tap here? No, no.
No, he dropped it all by himself.
He dropped it all by himself. Well, that saves a very difficult conversation in the garage after this, doesn't it?
Yeah, you don't want to sit in front of the team boss and try and justify why you punted your teammate out of the way so early on into
However,
the
he
race.
is immediately providing us again with this close battle now. Oh, that's a
Oh,
bold
that's
move by the
naughty.
Porsche. That's naughty by the Porsche. But still, side by side.
Yeah, that's a little bit naughty. Looked like the BMW just continued moving over. The car behind just kept going. So we'll have to wait for the stewards to
Porsche is
make a
going to
decision on that one.
pull it back though
Porsche has got
nicely.
it.
And I tell you what, if we're not careful here, Van der Hoek as well is going to make his way through. Norris tucks up and under the Porsche there with the Porsche behind, waiting to pounce on that opportunity.
Yeah, the Porsche clearly demonstrating that it's a faster car there in the corners. Have they managed to get past the Beamer? Yes, they have. What a move that was. That was a great little move there. Lovely little move by
It was
Amy
lovely
there.
though. We're not short of action tonight, Tosh. We've had no pit stops yet, but I'm looking at my timing screen and nearly every car is in some sort of battle. We've got 4 cars here, 5 cars going into turn 1, all
Soon
up
to be 6.
for position exactly. Now, let's just check in with the leader and see how he's getting on. Now, don't get me wrong, he's leading this race, but he is by no means a million miles ahead of P2 as it stands at the minute. Anything could happen in the next half hour, as Barry Gray once said in Stingray, for those of you who remember. And De La Souce there, 1.3 seconds back. And I think what we're starting to see now, Tice, is these cars settling into the race. So those
Definitely.
smart decisions are being made about whether positions need to be gained now or in a few laps' time. So the closest battles we've got at the moment is this one here for P11. We'll ride on board then with Van der Hoek as well, who's going to try and arrive at this party. So we've currently got a 6-car battle for P11 as it stands at this moment in time, Tice. And I'm not sure who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, it's there's battles wherever you look, which is fantastic and what we want to see. As we've got what looks like it's going to be a 6-car battle fairly soon. Konzig not having it all his own way. He's being kept relatively honest at the moment, which is good. We don't want to see him just disappear off into the sunset. But what I was going to say is I think we've just sort of entered a little bit of that management phase. I would imagine most of the pro drivers and some of the silvers will be using the qualifying setup that they obviously qualified on, because you've got, if you split it up, 30 minutes for each stint, you can do that on a qualifying setup. So, you know, we've gone very hard, very fast, straight away from the green flag. Now it's a case of getting to wherever your pit window is. You know, some people elect to do it 30-30, some might run a little longer. So I think we're into that phase now where there's a tiny little bit of management. Tyres have dropped off a little.
Apart from Callum Scotland, who is still all over the back of Mark Gibson but just cannot get by. But our closest position for battle on track at the moment is with our resident cork, Chris Bell, who is currently a cork in the bottle for Mike Wilson and Ben Sullivan. Now these guys are all lapping in the 55.2s, low 55s. They're all pretty even on pace. We have just seen Ben Sullivan drop off at the back there, but I think that's a bit of a smart move from him because I think he's sort of predicting the inevitable, if you like. The 66 car here doing everything he needs to do, holding his all together, and Ben taking a slightly different line there to the orthodox line that we often see. But we won't talk too much about that because it's better than someone else's line who isn't on track tonight. And whose line would that be, Tice?
That would definitely be Harry's.
It would be Harry's.
Seen him on track.
Yes, it would be. So. Back on board then with our race leader. Now he is currently lapping in the mid 54s. His best is a low 53, so he's definitely in a management phase, which we are seeing for most of our drivers as it stands at this moment in time. Mike Wilson then all over the back of Chris Bell. Let's see what he's going to do here, shall we? Is he going to pull out and send it by? Chris covers him off nicely. Ben still loitering in the background there for that free position. Not going to get it on this occasion.
Looking at a couple of the cars, there's definitely some invalidations going on. Track limits very easy to pick up here. There's a fine line between cutting the exit at the end of the straight and getting yourself a track cut. So that's another thing to watch. Callum Scotland making some inroads towards the back of Mark Gibson's Mustang on my other screen. But yeah, this is an interesting battle that we've got with Mike at the moment. It'd be interesting
And
to
there's
see
the
how that
move.
takes out.
Oh, he backs out of it. He backs out of it. Oh, and I'll tell you what, those two would be... I can imagine what that chat would look like after those two came together, can't you?
Definitely, and the worst thing I think there is that it's potentially put Mike in with a shout of making a move if he's brave enough. No, Chris has managed to keep hold of it
Well,
for
Mike
now.
got that far in front. The timing screen did register Mike Wilson in front of Chris Bell at the timing line. So that's how close he was to making the move.
Yeah, if he could keep it this close, he's a sitting duck down the back straight as the Aston
Ben
comes
Sullivan
flying
back
in
on
out
the
of
brakes
nowhere.
there. That's absolutely out of nowhere he appears on the scene.
Jeez, that was late and committed, which is what you love to see.
Well,
Mike looking like he's struggling for traction there. It's going to put him on the back foot. He might have the Aston breathing down his neck rather than going ahead of the McLaren in front of him.
Ben Sullivan either just sent a very ballsy late move there or a complete accident that he styled out. Well, either one of the two you can have. We don't mind which one you pick, Ben, but you can have one of those compliments. He's on board now. He's got a great view of this battle between Mike and Chris Bell. Right on board with Mike then. He's just too far back. Chris has fantastic traction out of that straight every time, and I've known Chris for quite a little while now, and I wouldn't be surprised if he hasn't set that car up with traction in mind, because that would be the smartest thing for him to currently do. Daniel Christophe then currently a bit of a cork in the bottle for this back thing, this back battle here. But we're just going to ride back on board with this battle for P11 and P12 again then, because it's definitely smoothed out. But Israel here is just starting to creep up on the Aston. In front of him is a late lunge there by the 5 car there from Victor Francesco. What a move that was there. That was a signed, sealed, delivered job late in the day. Let's just go back and have a quick look at what that looks like. And we've just missed it on the replay, unfortunately, but it was a very late move, and it made it work, though. He made it work.
Yeah, he did make it work. I mean, it took a compliant other driver to make it happen. But we've got a good little battle boiling up towards the back of the grid now. Christian Booth joining the back of what is becoming quite the queue of cars, some of them out of position. So we've got a few people in the pits. De La Souce has elected to pit early, so has Van der Hoek as well. So let's see how that shakes out. De La Souce is dropping so far back there. He's been in the pits quite a while now. That was a 33.5 second stop, so not fantastic but not terrible, and he's got a long way to go now, Roffy, to the end of the race on those tyres, if he is indeed on a qualifying setup.
He has, but do you know who hasn't got a long way to go on the set of tyres?
That would definitely be Harry.
It is definitely Harry, correct. So we'll have that as a counter, I think, for next week. Oh, as he pulls out there, side by side, as he goes down towards the end of the straight, on board with the helicopter there. He has got the inside line. He's about to be sent, signed, sealed, and oh, he backs out. He backs out.
Did he back out, or did the car on the outside just brave it and just hope for the best?
Let's find out on the replay.
He just braved it and hoped for the best.
He braved it and hoped for the best. And I tell you what, that was a ballsy move. That was there. That was well played.
Yeah, around the outside at turn 8 is not the place I'd want to be, but he made it work, and fair play to him for that. So
Jules Flint here and Michael de Gore sort of jostling for position there. The 19 and the 18 car. The Aston's just going to have in the Beecham's a little bit of a loved contact there, but not too much of a problem. Porsche here going to have the inside line again and wash the Aston Martin out as he does. Callum Scotland, a name we have mentioned throughout this race, is all over the back of Mark Gibson, and he's going to be getting more and more frustrated as this race goes on.
Yeah, 0.3 of a second quicker last lap was Callum. He's going to want to be getting that Mustang out of the way real quick, or potentially looking to box to overtake.
Now, this
would be an option here.
It is an option. Now, one thing I'd like to point out to us: we are 25 minutes into this race. We're at a track with no hard boundaries, and what I mean by hard boundaries is that we haven't got any walls or such or tough curves. We've not yet seen a drive-through, I don't believe, have we, for track limits?
No, but I suspect there are definitely a few drivers holding a couple of cuts Mike Wilson possibly being one of them. Exit of turn 8 is probably one of the easiest places to pick them up. You are actually allowed to go what would technically be defined as off track there. It's a bit odd how they've decided to let that happen, but if you go ever so slightly too wide, that's it, you're instantly getting a cut because
Now,
you're carrying so much more speed.
Mike Wilson has lost a position to Luke Sherlock. Not sure what's happened to him there, but Luke Sherlock now, who is also, I would like to point out, a QRT driver now, is also joining the back of this battle. Oh, Mike Wilson there, yellow flag. He is. Oh, it looks like he's had a little bit of a trip off the track there. Ben Sullivan here is finding himself under pressure from his former and current teammate Luke Sherlock, who I think will be past this car within the next half lap, Tice.
Oh, definitely. It looks like Luke's got so much more grip at the moment. Ben, I think, just trying to sort of consolidate where he is, not make any mistakes, and you know, if he has to let Luke by, I probably would. If he's clearly the faster car, just let them through. You know, there's no point battling with them and both losing time. So yeah, we'll see what happens. Luke's definitely the faster of the two of them, though, as we see a few more people enter the pits.
Konzig, Grains, Bustelli. P1, 2 and 3. The Aston Martin here lining a move up at the end of the straight. Going to jump on board now with the helicopter. Let's watch this move happen. Aston Martin has been forced to the outside line here, not the preferred line for overtaking into this corner. GTR pulling it back there nicely as well. Can he get an undercut from the Aston Martin? The Aston Martin has to recorrect his line there slightly, and that is a track cut for one, if not both of those drivers.
Yeah, just saw Ben Sullivan and Luke Sherlock on my other screen having a little bit of a coming together. Ben having to take to the escape road. Bit of a naughty one there because he did keep the position, so maybe that's one for the stewards to investigate, because I think Luke could probably have made it through there. Definitely one for the stewards to have a look at, but he might be coming back at him now down the straight.
I would absolutely agree with that, as Konzig now comes into the pits. He's about to take his pit stop. He is projected to still come out in position 1 as it stands at this moment in time. We will see how that looks, but he's going to lose a position there to Grain, so he's still, like I say, he is still net P1 based on the current situation. Let's just see what his stop looks like when he comes into the stop. And long old pit lane down here.
It's a long, yeah, you don't want to get a drive through here. I mean, he's already spent 25 seconds in the pit lane. He's not even come to a stop yet. So yeah, that's it's a lot of loss here if you do get a drive through, and that would be something that weighs heavily for the drivers towards the end of the race.
Konzig is currently predicted to come out of the pit lane in P12, so we'll see how that looks. It may even be P13 by the time he is finished. De La Souce would be P32. That just goes to show you how much longer this pit lane is compared to other pit lanes indeed. Bustelli then and Grains on each other's tail once again. We know that GTR gets a little bit of a second wind in the straight there. He can just put his foot down and pull away when he needs to, but that Aston Martin is particularly close, but he's going to force him to the outside once again, and I think that'll be enough for the Aston to lose the toe, as you've seen just there. So where is our current
yellow
race
flags
leader?
for Chappelle and De Gore, P31, P32, as De La Souce is now up to 28th after the stops, and looking to try and get past the McLaren ahead of him, but nothing doing at the moment. I'm not sure where that pace has gone, Roffy, from qualifying. He was flying earlier.
He was absolutely flying, and I think, I'll be honest with you, I think it's probably the Audi. The Audi itself is a very good car when it works, but it has to work for it to work.
It definitely does seem like it's probably on a knife edge most of the time. If you can tame it, it's a very quick car, but if you can't, you're all at sea. Last lap 54.4 is not going to do it, I don't think. Mike Wilson has come out of the pits in 34, so that could work out for him. Konzig has come out 25th. He's lining up a Ferrari at the moment as we see Callum Scotland enter the pits. That's probably a wise decision. He was losing a lot of time stuck behind the other car there. Yeah, Konzig going to try and make some ground back up. I wonder if Grant is going to look to stay out a little bit longer,
try and use the pace advantage he's got to build himself a little bit more of a gap so that he doesn't have to battle through this traffic like Konzig is at the moment, because that could hurt his win.
It could hurt his win. The strategy here to sort of plays in after the pit stops. Obviously, we've got 30 minutes left of the race now. Most of these drivers will serve their pit stop now. We're in this sort of this 10-minute window. There is no pit window, but drivers naturally sort of go for the halfway point, don't they? So they get a good balance in the car with the fuel and that sort of thing in the tyres, and it gives the tyres an opportunity to sort of come back into the window again. So Konzig at the moment, who obviously you would say is your net P1, he's the only driver to not serve his pit stop, I should say. However, he's currently net P3 as it stands at the moment, based on pit stop times. Now I'm just going to have a quick look at his pit stop actually, Tice, because I actually think it was a little bit slow on the slow side there. So his pit stop for Konzig was a 34.9, which actually was, it's 2 seconds slower than the fastest. So providing he had that 2 second gap, which I think he did, I think he'll come out okay on top of all that.
Yeah, I mean, Grams is handy in the pit lane. He definitely gets the car in and stopped pretty well. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I mean, I think the thing for Konzig is he's boxed that early. With the pace advantage he had, he's now had to make his way through traffic. So this first flying lap after his pit stop will be quite telling. If he's able to get into the 54s, he might be all right. But I feel like he's had to get around too much traffic to put a 54 on the board. That being said, Grans is still lapping in the low 54s at the moment, so he is building that gap every time round. So yeah, it's one to watch. We'll have to see how it shakes out when he finally makes his stop.
Now the battle that I want to watch here is Luke Sherlock dives into the pits. Now we need to be on with Ben Sullivan when he pits, because that there is going to be the true case of the undercut and overcut, because they were right on each other's tails. So it'll be really interesting to see as Darren Putman goes under yellow flags there because of his pit entry. Luke Sherlock there trundling down the pit lane as well. Most of these drivers are going to set their pit stop, but Ben Sullivan is going to be a great example of what this undercut and overcut looks like. So let's hope he comes into the pit next time round and see, so we can see that in action.
Definitely. I've just had a quick look. Konzig's opening lap was a 54.1. So that was an absolutely sensational lap, considering he overtook about 4 cars. How he only lost maybe half a second is beyond me, but he's straight away into the back of another pair of cars that are battling. So yeah, it's going to be a tricky one. Grans has run off the track somewhere as he's invalidated this lap, nearly a second down on his Delta. I wonder if it's time to call it and get some fresh tyres on that thing. And it is. He's boxing. Grans is boxing. So here we go. Let's find out whether or not Grans takes the lead or slots back in behind Konzig. I will try and keep an eye on where Konzig is on track.
I'll tell you what, we've just seen Chris Bell there, what can only be described as bottle it into the final corner of that Sector 2, and that has allowed Ben Sullivan to make that move that he's been waiting to make for the last half an hour. Let's see if Ben jumps into the pits. I'm really keen to see what this overcut-undercut looks like between him and Luke Sherlock. That really will be a key note for us, and let's see what he decides to do as he comes up to the final corner here. Will he box this lap?
Grans has been stationary for a little while now. Konzig's coming towards the end of the lap, but he is being held up. It's going to be close.
He stays online there, so let's find Luke Sherlock. Where is Luke Sherlock? He has served his pit stop. He's P26.
Grans has come out. Grans has come out. He had a 32.7 pit stop, I think. He's going to come out. He should come out in the lead. Konzig has been undone by his own strategy, I think.
Konzig is currently predicted to be P2 at the end of the strategy window. So the strategy window for those who...
He's jumped... Oh, that was so close. The gap is much
closer
now.
Fresher tyres. And I tell you what as well, Konzig's finding himself in some traffic there. If you're right on board with Konzig's view, he's currently got an Aston Martin for company. And he's going to have to try and make it by here, which is going to be a little bit ballsy on the brakes. But they do make it through. But I tell you what, that has made a very interesting final 25 minutes of this race, guys.
Definitely. I mean, if Grans can get past this Aston Martin quickly, like it looks like he's going to, then it's game on. the gap is much smaller than it was, but yeah, let's see who's got the advantage here. Konzig's obviously up to speed now. I don't think he's got much traffic ahead of him for a little while. Grand's obviously on fresh tyres, so yeah, let's see how this one shakes out in the next 25 minutes or so. I think the closest battle we've got at the moment is Booth, who's on the back of Grand's.
Yeah, and Berger as well. We've also got the Berger battle, as I like to call it. So, but Ben Sullivan, is he going to pit on this occasion? We've been waiting for him to pit. We want to see what this strategy looks like. His teammate, who has been racing side by side for the whole of this race, Chris Bell, brought it in last lap. Ben really is going to have to start looking about pitting, otherwise he's going to find himself in a little bit of a pickle with his tyres. So let's see what he does on this occasion. He's about to come around the final corner. It looks like he's a bit wide for the pit lane. He's going to pit. He's going to pit. Let's ride on board then with Luke Sherlock, his closest piece of competition, to see what this looks like as Luke comes down the back straight now. This is going to be, has Luke's undercut paid off? That is the question. Tice, what is your money?
I don't think it will be enough. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's going to be enough.
The other battle as well, obviously Chris Bell is also in this fight, but Chris Bell's a little bit further back, just a little bit. So Luke may get him. I'm not sure Chris will, but it really will be interesting. Let's just have a quick look. Where is Ben as it stands at the moment? Ben is still stationary in the pit lane. This is going to be tight. Has the undercut paid off for Luke Sherlock, the 119 McLaren, as he approaches the final few corners of the lap? I can confirm Ben is just coming off the jacks now, and there he is. He is moving, trundling down towards the end of the pit lane. Now Luke's going to have his full throttle available to him as he comes now down towards the start-finish straight. Chris Bell in tow, not too far behind, along with Mike Wilson. There is Ben. Ben is on the pit lane, and I think the overcut has worked nicely there for Ben, as Luke is in exactly the same position he was when he started that pit strategy, Tice.
Yeah, the only saving grace Luke's got now is that his tyres are at least up to pressure, up to temperature. Yeah, it's going to be an interesting opening lap now for the Aston to see whether or not he can keep that position or whether he's going to cede it. But, I mean, Luke's got the company of another driver, is that Chris, behind him. So, you know, it's not a foregone conclusion, but Luke definitely looks like he's on the attack here rather than the defence. And the Aston's struggling for grip. Well, absolutely struggling.
He is, and he's had to change his tactic at the last minute, because Luke will have entered that pit lane there with the 100% confidence that undercut was going to work. And to be honest with you, rightly so. It's very rare that doesn't work. As we've got Amy Lavouille there, who is currently facing the wrong way. Let's see what happens here, shall we? Is there going to be contact with this GTR?
And it's possible. The GTR's closing.
Oh, that's naughty by the GTR.
Yeah, there's a bit of squeezing going on there. That is not going to impress Amy at all, nor the rest of the T1 SR fans.
No.
Yeah, that is not what we like to see.
That's not the outcome that either driver would have wanted there. But I'd also like to point out, Tice, that this battle at the front here has opened up nicely. Mr. Konzik there is pulling away once again.
He is, yeah. He's just put a 53.5 on the table for the fastest lap of the race.
Mike Wilson opening up there. He's dived down the inside of the final corner, and I think he's made that move stick on Ben Sullivan. Ben Sullivan's race has gone from tragic to good to, you know, I could have done a bit better there. He left the door wide open in the final corner, and Mike went, thank you very much.
Yeah, I think Luke's jumped the pair of them, and Mike's just picked up on the tail end of that squabble. So, yeah, not panning out quite how Ben would have liked, I don't think. Let's see if Mike can clear off now. Definitely looks like he's got more pace at the moment. Luke has, yeah, he needed to get past. I mean, he's nearly half a second up already now. So, yeah, I think it's a good thing for Luke to have got past. Tyler Norris at the moment showing as being P1 in silver, and he has pitted. So he's got a good little gap to Hussein at the moment.
Delasouche, who we're on board with now, he'll be asking where he's gone wrong today. He started on pole position in the Audi with a blistering lap time. But unfortunately, the race just has not worked for him. He's spent most of his time looking at the bumpers of cars in front of him. Most drivers would still be very happy with P4, but I know De La Souza will not be at all. However, it is still better position than a driver who is not on the track today, and that driver would be Tice.
That would definitely be Harry.
It would be Harry, correct, it would be. So riding on board then as he starts his 21st lap of this race.
Yeah, De La Souza having a bit of a race to forget, unfortunately, here. I mean, with the strength of the grid that we've got, little mistakes get heavily punished, and unfortunately that's what we're seeing here, is he's probably the better part of 15 seconds off the lead at this point, which is not where he thought he was going to be, I imagine, when the lights went green. He does seem to catch up to the GTR a little bit, and then through that sector one, like we said at the beginning of the show, it's a very tricky technical sector, and it just looks like the GTR pulls the gap, and then it's too much for him to overcome in the rest of the lap.
Yes, it is, and it's the same as what we were seeing with Callum Scotland there earlier in the AMG. He has now made his way up to P6. I actually think his position is, he's gained 4 places here. He started P10, so at the minute he's going to be absolutely chuffed. And everyone has served their pit stops, so he knows he's currently net P6. He just needs to maintain it. His current lap pace, though, is nowhere near what it needs to be to maintain P5. And also, sadly for him, it's also nowhere near it needs to be to maintain P6, with Mark Gibson, who is currently lapping a second a lap faster and closing in on him. He's probably got another 3 or 4 laps before he's got a bit of a problem on his hands, Tyson.
Definitely. Another driver with problems on his hands is De La Souza. He's got Bossatelli in the Aston all over the back of him. Both drivers have invalidated this lap, though. But yeah, Bossatelli, he wants P4, and we could find De La Souza dropping yet another position down to 5th. I think with Callum and Gibson behind, they should be okay. He shouldn't lose any further positions, but yeah, definitely not panning out for De La Souza today.
No, it's not, but he'll bounce back. He always does, and to be fair, the race is not over yet. He's still got 18 minutes where he can do something with that Audi, but he's finding himself under an incredible amount of pressure from that Aston Martin behind him, who has been there the entire race and quite frankly has given him something to work for, so can't complain there. Darren Paintman then, or Putman, sorry, once again under pressure from Christoph Paffey, not too far behind there in the T1SR car. Our closest battle on track, though, is brought to you by Christian Booth here in the number 8 Aston Martin, who has just not quite made it stick there through that corner. And I did think about it for a brief moment, but De La Souza is about to get gobbled up here, Tice, I think.
Yeah, that Aston's going to make mincemeat of him here. His only option really is to park it on the inside white line, but I think he knows that it was all over.
I mean, so he could have taken the inside line there, but if we're honest, the Aston would have been past and in front by the time they got to the end of it, so it wouldn't have made any difference where he parked his car on that particular occasion as he loses that position. Danny McCutcheon finding himself under some pressure here from Borwick, who, if we're not mistaken, is the very car of the Nissan who actually took Danny's teammate out a few moments ago on this straight. So Danny, I'm sure, who doesn't hold a grudge, will be thinking he moves very carefully here as he looks down the inside there to take the car, and Danny puts his car exactly where he needs to in the Lexus and manages to maintain that position exactly where he wants. Now Mike Wilson, Ben Sherlock, side by side once again. These two have been at it like old ladies with handbags all race, and they are side by side going down the straight. A little bit of a touch there from Ben, who pulls over into Mike. And Mike just has to think for a brief moment whether he really, really wants to do that or not. We are still not seeing any drive-throughs, which is a miracle at Paul Ricard, Tice.
Yeah, I mean, considering the amount of times I've seen drivers on an invalid lap, I'm amazed we haven't seen one yet. But I just want to go back to Danny McCutcheon. He's having an absolutely sensational race. I think he's up about 14 positions at this point. So, you know, he's having a great one. He has had a couple of invalidations, might be nursing a couple of cuts. We've got yellow flags for Cristo and Martucci at the moment, down in 27th and 28th. Must have had a little coming together, but yeah, I mean, Konzig, though, he has checked out. Gap's nearly 5 seconds. He's done a new fastest lap of the race, and pretty much just the front two in the 53s at the moment.
So yeah, it's starting to become a one-horse race, unfortunately, at the front. Danny McCutcheon closing in on the back of Tyler Norris. What else have we got going on? Got Luke Sherlock. He's checked out. He's kind of in a bit of no man's land
Still
at the
on
moment.
board with this Wilson Sullivan fight there, because I tell you what, Chris Bell's going to be on the scene at the moment, wanting a piece of the action as well, as the T1 SR car there tucks up the inside, causing a bit of a problem for these two as it stands at the minute. There are some blue flags there though, and there'll be some infuriation there, I should think, from the 85 car, because blue flags have been shown. We're on board. We can see them being shown, but no effort is being made to sort of release that position, as Mike is still there and he'll be flashing away. You can see his thumb there coming across to the button there to flash. I'm not entirely sure what is occurring there, but we'll let the stewards deal with that, as Mike will have the inside line into the corner.
You just have to be brave here.
He is
He chooses better of it, decides not to risk it. Probably for the best, but obviously he's lost that position now. Yeah, that's starting to hot up this battle. It's not just these two cars. You got cars behind closing in very quickly now on this battle. Ben gets a very brief breather. Yeah, this is going to keep going, hopefully, to the end of the race.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Oh, as the Porsche drops it, Mike does well to avoid. Yeah, that's gone from bad to worse for the Porsche. Made a great move great move, elbows out, brave move to get past Mike, and then undoes it by running out of talent at the final corner.
That very much is the case there. The 85 then by Jules Flint decided to take a trip into the asphalt that we mentioned earlier. Let's have a quick look here. The Ferrari, synchronised spin almost. That
looked like a bit of netcode. The Ferrari was just getting all out of shape, and then a bit of netcode happened, and then all of a sudden the Porsche is round. Very bizarre.
Absolutely, and I tell you what, it reminds me of those that weren't with us for our 2.4 hours of the Nordschleife. We did witness 3 cars pirouetting off in sync, didn't we, guys? Which at the beginning of the race, which was
that was fantastic.
Rather nice to see.
And,
might have to find the clip of that actually.
Yeah, that was a fun one. A little bit of synchronised spinning from some of the cars there, just panicking and applying a bit too much brake in the wet conditions. Gap out in front, yeah, it's just increasing. Bossatelli is making a bid for a podium as he's closing in on the back of Stoberg. Bossatelli at the moment lapping in the mid-53s. He's on Konzig pace at the moment, taking half a second at Stoberg on the last lap. So yeah, Bossatelli definitely looking to see if he can secure P3. He fancies a spot on the podium. Who else have we got? What other battles are close at the moment? Senelef is having a little battle with Booth, with Christou in company as well. A little 3-way battle for 25th, which could get a bit spicy. The Lamborghini, the Aston and the Porsche all having a good battle. See if we can find some other battles to look at the moment, as we're on board with McCutcheon. We were on board with McCutcheon.
Sorry, Christoph is the battle for the moment, Tice. That is the closest battle on track as it stands.
Definitely, yeah. These 3. Oh, we've just seen a drive-through actually. A drive-through has just been cleared. I can see the 917 car, I think it was, just had a drive-through. So yeah, we have actually had someone now get penalised for track limits.
And I'm surprised that's not come sooner, Tice. With 11 minutes of this race left to go, I'm very surprised that we have waited that long to see a drive-through at a track renowned for track limits.
Indeed, but I bet there's a fair few drivers sat there on that third cut, hoping and praying every time they go around turn 8 that they're not going to get that track limit and put them into a drive-through. So there could be a little sting towards the end of the race if any drivers overstep that boundary. And they might find themselves losing a position or two. Absolutely,
and I'll tell you what as well, one thing for certain as well is Danny McCutcheon here has had a fantastic race. He has had an amazing race. He's been in the thick of the battles, and that's the hardest place to be to have a good race, because you rely on other people racing fairly. He started P24 and he's currently in P10.
Yeah, it's an absolutely sensational race. Just keeping an eye on the gap between Bossatelli and Soberg. Soberg getting a little bit held up with some blue flag traffic, but yeah, Bossatelli's absolutely on it. Another 53.5 last time round. He's absolutely flying. But yeah, Danny McCutcheon, what a race today. He's done, like you say, the hard part. You know, he's battled from mid-pack to the sharp end now. He has got Borowick on his tail. Looks to be a little bit quicker, but that Lexus is no slouch in a straight line. I'd be surprised if the GTR gets it done here. Let's have a little look and ride along.
See how this pans out in the last few minutes of the race then. We've got a couple of laps left to go. Things are looking like they're settling down for now. However, anything could still happen.
The Lexus just doing Lexus things and powering down the straight. Might actually pick up the tow from the Porsche here and help him out, but the GTR's just sort of in no man's land, I think, with the top end that Lexus has got. Can he hold on to it through here, though? This is where Borowick is looking pretty handy, the first and final sectors. So, yeah, it'll be an interesting one to see if maybe McCutcheon can turn defence into attack and put Van der Hoek in between him and Borowick. That might buy him some time. Porsche pretty quick in a straight line here and definitely handy through the first and final sector. But if Danny can stay close enough to him, he might be able to get that done down the straight.
You would think he would be able to get this done down the straight, Tice, but this, like I say, this battle really is hotting up, and I'm not entirely sure where it's going to end up either. We've got several cars on track next to each other. This is the closest battle. The other one worth pointing out here is, as I come on board with the 971 car, running a little bit wide there. But De La Souce...
And he's gone for it. Danny's gone for the move. Backed out of it at the last minute. Yeah, this is the battle to watch, I think, at the moment.
Let's ride on board with them now as we see this final stages of the race start to unfold.
Yeah, Borowick clearly the faster car through the first sector. Just can't live with the Lexus in the final sector. If Danny can stay close enough to the Porsche, he should get a really nice slipstream down this back straight and be able to make a move rather than be overtaken. But the Porsche, with its fantastic traction, has kind of just left. So let's see what the Lexus has got to say about that.
We will see what the Lexus has got to say about that, and like I say, as we
here he comes.
Here he comes again already.
Here he comes. Look at the top end of that Lexus. The Porsche has gone for the defensive line. Is he going to try and brave it around the outside? He's clear already. Just raw horsepowers his way through. What a move by Danny McCutcheon. Puts himself into P9. What a return this will be on investment from his lowly grid start. Yeah, let's see if he can check out and leave Van der Hoek and Borowick to battle for a little bit, try and cement that 9th place.
Absolutely, and we will certainly be sort of keeping an eye on this one as well. We also need to not forget about our team, our race leader, I should say, who is currently out in P1 as it stands at this moment in time. But we will sort of pick him up as he comes into the final stages of this race with 6 minutes left to go, about three laps or so.
An interesting one for you, Roffy. Bossatelli has caught and passed Soberg. We've got a drive-through for the 873 car, track limits. So they might start coming thick and fast now as drivers try and hold on to these positions.
There will be.
Bossatelli grabbed himself a podium.
Definitely will be that as we go down towards the end of this race. We've got Boric there and Van Hoek side by side, and the move is made there. And obviously we did see that Mike Van der Hoek did not have a particularly great middle part of this race. He went from quite a particular juicy battle down to the back, but he's fought his way back up again, and of course he is now finding himself on the back of Danny McCutcheon once again, who is going to have to defend his way to the end of this race with 6 minutes left to go, guys.
Mike Wilson, Chris Bell, Ben Sullivan battle, they are separated by maybe a second across all three of them. Little yellow flag involvement, so I don't know what's going on there, and some light flashing, but yeah, that's another battle that could go right to the end here. Not sure who's going to take who's going to take the honours or the bragging rights in our Discord for finishing ahead of the others. Yeah, we've got Chris and Ben climbing all over the curbs. Mike, the silver driver, currently in the lead of the three of them, weaving down the straight like a madman.
Oh, there's excessive weaving there.
I'm really sure you're allowed to do that.
There's
there,
excessive
Mike,
weaving there. That'll be investigated. Look at this.
That's Verstappen-esque there. Definitely one for Harry and his team of stewards to have a look at. A little bit naughty from Mike there, but so far no one's come to grief because of it. As Ben looked like he might have just invalidated there. Borowick's got a yellow flag against him at the moment. Van der Hoek and Norris have just swapped positions in the final corner. Norris still looking like he's going to wrap up the win for the Silvers, but Hussein is closing in on the back of him. It may not be a foregone conclusion yet. Gap's only 3 seconds at the moment, Ruffy.
3 seconds is a long time with GT racing cars. It's not as long as what it could be, but it's certainly a bit bigger gap than what we've seen at the moment. There's currently a 0.8 covers these three as it stands at the moment with the, we're going to call them the Weaver Holics, as they are, the excessive flasher Chris Bell there, very keen on the flashing machine. 4 minutes of this race left to go. Race leader is currently in sector 3. So I think we're going to see probably three laps.
Three laps, I think. Yeah, 3 laps, which will be perfect for us. Let's see which of the QRT drivers comes out on top. Definitely looks like Mike's got the advantage at the moment.
He has.
Pretty. He's able to pick the line he wants. Ben definitely quicker through sector 1 and forces Mike into a mistake, but this could be. Oh, as Ben himself has then a bit of a wobble trying to get all over the curb. That's going to bring them all back together again, and I wonder if we're going to have some synchronized weaving again down this long straight. Mike doesn't know who to give the slipstream to. This is going to get feisty, I think, as we get towards the end of the straight here.
This might end quite nastily, is what I'm thinking, guys, but we'll see how this ends. I think some tears and some paintwork may be lost in the final minutes of this race. Let's not forget too much about the McCutcheon fight as it stands at the minute. He's got Borowick, he's got Van der Hoek, and he has got Tyler Norris for company for him as it stands at the minute as well.
All 3 of them have gone off the track at the exit of turn 8 and then again on the entrance to turn 9. All 3 of them have invalidated this lap going through there. How none of them have got a drive-through yet, I do not know. Luke Sherlock right on the back of Isgro at the moment, and looking like the faster driver, trying to get his way up into P16. Tyler Norris all over the back of Van der Hoek at the moment as well. It is for overall position, but it's not for class position. So I don't know. What would you do if you're Tyler Norris here and you're being held up by a pro driver?
Let's ask Harry. Harry would be the best person on track to know. Oh no, is Harry on track? I don't know whether he is.
No, for health and safety reasons, we've banned him from getting on track. We all remember pretty much every time he's ever been on track before. So PTSD intensifies there from seeing that.
I actually think, Thomas, this might be one more lap after this. I'm just on board now with the leader of this race. He's going to come across the line at 1:55 now. This is going to be the final lap of the race. He's going to take the white flag on this occasion, and this will be the final lap of the race. That was also.
I don't know. I've not heard the notification. I don't know if this is the final lap. It might be.
His last lap was a 1:54.190, and he crossed the line with 1:50 to go. So unless he finds 3 seconds, this is the final lap of the race.
Yeah, we've got Callum Scotland closing in on the back of Gibson for P6. That would be a great result for Scotland there. Borowick's dropped off the back of McCutcheon, so it looks like he's probably going to take P9.
Norris has dropped off the back of Van der Hoek. Luke Sherlock is probably the closest battle at the moment with Isgro, although Mike Wilson and Ben Sullivan have decided to have another crack at it as they're now 0.2 apart.
They absolutely are. I'm just on board with this Callum Scotland again, and they've been a great fight. Luke Sherlock again finding himself in the middle of some action, but back quickly to our attention then of the Mike Wilson Ben Sullivan fight there. We have got a yellow flag on track there from the 888. I'm just trying to find out what's going on there.
They are off the track
very
significantly.
Much off the track. We're going to just jump back on board then with our leader of this race and going to see whether he does take the checkered flag on this occasion. He has got 25 seconds to find himself to the line. We will see what he does there. He has got a couple of corners left to go. I do think this is going to be the final lap of the race, Tyson. I think we are about to see the checkered flag on this occasion. He's got a 1:36 on his dash. He's got 10 seconds to find the lap, and I think we are about to come under checkered flag conditions, and Damien Konzik is about to take the win of round 1, season 2 GT3 championship. There's the checkered flag, and he crosses the line and takes P1.
Yeah, fantastic drive by Konzik, made all the difference early on in the race.
Bastelli next. Well, Grand's next across the line. Bastelli's next as well in the Aston Martin. Great race for these two here with Soberg hunting him down as well. P4 for him. He'll be well happy with that. De La Souce then so far back you can see his time has just disappeared as this race has gone on.
Just ebbed away. His best lap this race was a 55.1. That should tell you everything you need to know about how De La Souce's race went today. Just couldn't get it gathered up. Yeah, not good. I mean, almost a miracle he managed to hold on to P5, to be honest. Gibson looked like he was closing him down. Driver of the day, though, Danny McCutcheon, bringing it home, P9 from a 24th starting position.
Absolutely fantastic.
What a drive.
Absolutely fantastic. Luke Sherlock next going to bring it across the line as well. Absolutely incredible race by all of those drivers today. Chris Bell is going to come out on top of that three-way battle, and Mike Wilson coming off the worst. I'd love to know what happened there. I'm sure we'll see about that in the debrief afterwards. And,
yeah, Tyler Norris and Abbasi Hussein, P1 and P2 in silver, so fantastic racing from them. 12th and 13th overall, so good result there. Andrea Isgro rounding out the silver podium, so props to those drivers as well. Can often get a little bit lost when we're focusing on the pro drivers.
That is a great result for all the drivers, and that was round 1 of 6 rounds with season 2 GT3 championship with the QRT esports community. My driver of the day and Tyson's is both Danny McCutcheon there, P24 all the way up to P9 there. A fantastic drive from them. And what we're going to do now is we're going to raid another channel and go and say hello to some other streamers that we've got. And then we will be back next week with round 2, which you will see. And we're going to go say hello to Jerome, who is currently racing around there. Take care and good night.
Green light, show them what you got.
We clear, gents.